All right, thank you for staying with Business Today. And we are here speaking about the leather industry and the value chain. And joining us is British Mwasi, who is the Director, Center for Business Innovation and Training, CBIT. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get right into the conversation and look at the leather value chain in Kenya. Over the years, we've had a lot of issues, especially when it comes to the donkeys that are being slaughtered, and we have had the hides and skins being just taken to other different countries. Now, even with the background of that, when you look at the leather industry that we have in Kenya at this time, where are we in terms of growth, and what is it that we are missing, and what do you think can be done in order for the leather industry to get to where it's supposed to be?
Wow, this is a good conversation to have, especially at this time, because the global market for leather and leather products is growing. Africa is a key player, and therefore Kenya, by default, is also a very key player in this market. But going by your question, where are we? You see, so you're saying it's a globally growing sector or market, but what are we doing as a country? And I think, to me, this is a very good conversation, given that leather is a key sector. It's mapped or marked as a key sector in Kenya. Recently, during the 61st Madaraka Day speech, the president actually affirmed his commitment to this particular industry. But you see, like, a farming commitment still draws us back to where we are as a sector. So before we start unpacking, the specifics as to where we are, let us first appreciate the fact that, going by the saying that ngozi ni mali. Leather, in fact, so we have a number of institutions that go by that particular slogan. And it's not just another slogan or just a slogan to just pass. It truly, speaking, leather as we speak today holds more value than a number of agro-based products. And I want us to have our conversation starting at that point for people to have an appreciation as to how solid and how big this particular sector is. Now, if you look at the value for leather, it is 3 times the value of its mother product, beef or meat. We say leather is a byproduct because, you see, no animal is grown for purposes of us getting the hide or skin. So we grow our animals for the dairy industry, for the beef industry, and as a byproduct we are able to get the hides or skins and therefore transform them into leather for us to fashion various products. So where we stand today, leather and leather products actually, in terms of value, they surpass the value of their mother product 3 times of beef. It is 4 times the value of coffee. Most Kenyans appreciate, the value of coffee, but very few are able to really underpin the value of leather and leather products. And it is 8 times the value of rice. So really, this is a very key sector in terms of its potential value. But the question here is, are we optimizing the value, presented by this particular sector? And what I can say is that we could do better. Yeah, we could do more.
All right, Beatrice, even before you continue, when you look at what you've really mentioned, 8 times more than rice, and
4 times more than coffee, 3 times more than beef. So what could be the issue when it comes to it penetrating to different areas? Because when we look at the products that you've mentioned against, they are doing well, very, very well. So what is it that is making this particular sector, the leather industry, not to penetrate like these others? You see, the thing is, currently where we are at as a country, we are still operating at commodity level of this particular sector, in the sense that we are dealing in semi-processed or raw hides and skins. 80% of what we are exporting as a country is a semi-processed leather. So semi-processed, we are talking about wet blue or crust. So it is basically a semi-processed form of leather. And increasingly now we are having a lot of hides and skins making out of Kenya in form of, in their raw form. And most of them are actually making way to West Africa, where they actually end up on the table as food, So they have, developed an appetite for leather, and it's a delicacy in that part of the world. So most of the traders, through maybe illegal channels, smuggle our hides and skins to the western part of Africa.
Okay.
So because of that, then we are not able to optimize the value out of what leather sector, the prospects provided by the leather as a material. So, but if we were to add value and be able to turn the leather, the semi-processed into finished leather, and the finished leather into value-added product, then now we will begin to accrue utmost value out of this particular material. But as it is, as a country, we are, 80%, about 85% is in semi-processed, so we are losing out in form of value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, still on that, could it be that there are challenges that are facing this particular industry when you look at even the quality of raw materials that we have in the country and how they are contributing to this particular sector? How would you...
We are actually facing a lot of challenges. The sector is facing a lot of challenges. And for me to unpack, allow me to just walk you through the value chain.
Okay.
Now, if we look at the value chain, our value chain, of course, when we critically look at the leather industry, we like looking at it from the abattoir up to the market, but actually the value chain begins at the farm. So if and the farm, basically we classify now these challenges into three. So we have the peri production, everything that is happening before production begins up to the slaughterhouse. Then we have the pre, peri, and post-production. Now at the pre-production level, where we have now the farmers rearing the animals for slaughter, what we must understand is that the quality of the animal determines the quality of the hide or skin that we make. But most of the time, due to poor animal husbandry practices at the farm, then we end up with hides and skins that are not of quality. So you will find, for example, scratches, and maybe tick bites, and maybe other damages due to a number of diseases at the farm level, and those end up affecting the quality of the hide. But that also said, the terrain upon which we rear, the animals, most of them are from the northern part of this country, arid areas where, basically, the acacia trees and the terrain, and, as the animals move around, you find that, we have scratches that may end up damaging the skin or hide. But right now we are beginning to have a conversation that probably we should not start looking at, the effects of the terrain on the hide and skin as a negative, because basically those are, proof of life. Basically the gate to show us where the animal has lived. Not all of them are, are raised or protected within very well laid out confinements that we refer to as feedlots. Most of them are the free range, animals, and that also gets to affect the skin or the hide of the animal. So those, the scratches or the tick bites or the damages at farm level end up affecting the quality of the hide or skin. We also have what we call, the hot iron branding on the hide and skin. During, farm visits, we ended up actually establishing that it's a requirement by the Department of Veterinary Services to have a cow, stamped for safety, precaution in case your animal is slaughtered. What do you call it? in case it is you lose it to theft, yes, basically.
Yes. Stolen.
Stolen, or with in the northern part we have cattle rustlers. So in case you end up losing your animal, you can have it traced because it's branded, it has a number. So for traceability purposes, the thing is, places where we have it stamped renders most of the skins unusable, so therefore that is also another damage that in case if we want to enhance the quality of hides and skin that we must contend with, where can we best stamp, how can we best secure the animals without damaging the hide or skin? How can we best support the farmers at the farm level so that we can educate them on how best to manage the animal at the farm so that we have the best quality of hide and skin at the end of the day when they come to the slaughterhouses. Okay. Now that is the pre-production. Now when you get to the slaughterhouse, also still pre-production, we have a whole set of challenges. Now at the slaughterhouses or abattoirs, we have issues to do with skills of being able to slaughter or extract the hide and skin in the best way possible. So at that level, we also find that we inflict damages on the otherwise good or fair quality of hide and skin that came from the farm. So we end up having what we refer to as flay cuts. So because probably the person flaying is not well skilled to undertake the flaying. But we also have some damages by virtue of the fact that the equipment that is being used to flay, basically extracting the skin or hide from the animal, is also not the best equipment to use. We also have damages inflicted by virtue of the fact that the infrastructure, basically the setup of the slaughterhouse is not designed to best handle, good, slaughtering practices. I've seen situations whereby you'll find the carcass being dragged on the floor, and yet the floor of that particular abattoir is not very, well kept, or maybe we will say it is damaged. So we basically, that is what we call it a slaughter level damages. But then now from there you get to the production part of it, and production also is where we are challenged as a country. At production level,
that's where we have the tanneries.
So at production level we have tanneries, but we also have manufacturers. Now at tanning level, this is a heavy investment, so we have a few tanneries that are really trying to give us quality finished leather, but most of them are actually not suited to move up to finished level. So you find that now they'll be able to, they're the ones that are able to produce up to semi-processed, and then they pack and export. So that's why we are doing a lot of exports up to semi-processed level.
Okay.
From the tannery level, then you go to manufacturers. We have a whole lot of challenges there, and if you allow me, let me just touch on them. And this is very important. All of the other challenges are very important, but these are very important. Now, what happens at manufacturing level is you find that most of the manufacturers that we have are SMEs. Now, because we let's say about 80% are SMEs, because of the nature of the SME production space, they are limited in a number of ways. They are limited in terms of equipment. They are limited in terms of skill proficiency. And when we are talking about skills proficiency, we are talking about production skills. We are talking about management skills. We are talking about marketing skills. So you are in a business, but you really already are limited in the skill that requires you to be able to churn out a competitive product. So nevertheless, they're there. And as I said, they are 80% of the players that we have. But even as they try, look at the cost of production in Kenya, the cost of power, even the cost of labor by itself, the cost of space. Because see, like every entrepreneur, every micro, small, and medium entrepreneur is out there struggling to, have their own little space to operate. So the rents, the infrastructure, the tools that they require, all those really, create a big challenge for them to be able to come up with a competitive product. But most importantly is the fact that we have a very weak production input system. We don't have support industries in Kenya. So you want to manufacture leather goods, but then you're starting from a point of view where you have to import all the production inputs that you require, except maybe the leather that you may get locally. So you're talking about zippers, you're talking about buckles, the entire hardware that you require to be able to fashion, including soles for shoes. You require to fashion products, you have to import. So that gives us a challenge. And lastly, post-production, we have marketing challenges whereby, we don't have very well set out infrastructure or market spaces that support the SMEs to be able to present their products to the marketplace, whether locally or internationally.
All right, Beatrice, thank you so much. You've broken down this from the start to the end, and it has also presented very crucial things when it comes to the challenges that we have. But now let's also look at this other side and see, okay, among all these other challenges that we have, what are the players in this industry doing in order for them to at least help teach people or help educate people who are included in this? Although you mentioned SMEs don't have the skills, they don't have the materials to make sure that they are churning out what is expected. So do we have like conferences, do we have like competitions that are there that are really making people, what are you doing? What are you doing in terms of what you're churning out in order for them to actually just encourage the people who are in this particular sector to even do more?
A lot is being done, both by the public sector and the private sector. So, and if I may be specific to Kenya, conversations like these have been happening since from the time I was very active in this particular sector, from 2013, and I think by then we were actually calling upon government to provide infrastructure where micro entrepreneurs can use shared facilities to come up with competitive products, and we have such a facility that was put up in Karioko. Now we have a shared, a common manufacturing facility. Now at the facility, the micro entrepreneurs are able to access equipment. Let's say not necessarily state-of-the-art equipment, but at least advanced equipment than they would otherwise get from a centralized place. It is not vibrant yet. We are hoping that we will have a model that will make the facility more vibrant and attract more users to the space. We have Kenania coming up, which is the leather pack. It's going to assist both the tanners, because we're going to have centralized effluent treatment, which is usually a very big cost to anybody intending to move into the tanning space. So the park is going to provide for that, and therefore going to also have tanners operating there. It's also going to provide infrastructure or working spaces for SMEs as well. So we have a quota set aside for SMEs, and plus a number of trainings that are happening both by the private sector and government entities. On the private sector, what I would say is that I'm part of the Apex Society of Kenya, which is Leather Apex Society. And what the society has decided to do is not to sit on the bench expecting government to do everything. So they have come up with a couple of interventions. Apex was behind the very first International Leather Fair. That was dubbed Kilele, Kenya International Leather and Leather Products Fair, which was very well done. Right now, they're mobilizing resources so that they can activate, to be able to showcase what the country has to offer. The society also, which is an umbrella of all small associations that are within the leather sector space, also undertakes a number of capacity building interventions. So they do training. So basically scouting where we are weak and equipping ourselves with skills so that we may better compete. We also have other programs in place that will help them, for example, be able to to bulk buy most of the production inputs that we do not have locally. Individually, it becomes very expensive, and therefore the product at the end of the day becomes less competitive in terms of price. Okay. So the association is also working towards, consolidating, whatever it is that they want to get, whatever is not locally available, be able to import, so that then they are able to present the production inputs to members.
All right. Thank you so much, Beatrice. That is our time. We were speaking about, of course, the leather value chain and what needs to be done. And as you've heard, if you're out there, just be involved in this so that you may churn out what is expected of you. The shoes that we have, the handbags, the belts, and everything else that is related to leather. All right. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. We've come to the end of this particular edition of Business Today. Stick around. BUKTN is coming up next.